I do want to just say that this is Reverend Dr. Najuma Smith-Pollard, and she is the founding pastor of Word of Encouragement Church. I've been told to forego her wonderful bio. Just know that she's a Reverend Doctor. She a sister, and we're about to just get into this.
Yeah.
So, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me, and I'm super excited to be here with all of you, and super excited that this conversation will be part of a much bigger project.
I'd love to start off with you just letting us know a little bit about you and what self-love means to you.
Wonderful. So I am a pastor of Word of Encouragement Church here in Los Angeles. I've actually been in ministry this year, will be 20, how old am I? 40, 25 years, because I'm 49 and I started out in ministry at 24. So this will be my 25th year in ministry officially. I'm a grandmother. And you know, these last couple of years of my life have taken a toll on me, not a toll on me, but they've been challenging. And one of the reasons why I'm excited about this conversation is because I really had to dig into loving Najuma to get through these last few years. And I'll get into more about what the challenge has been these last few years for me and what I've gone through and experienced. But I had to really learn to love me differently and even love me again. And so I'm excited about this conversation around self-love. And in addition to saying self-love, if you're taking notes, I want to invite you to write these words before the word self-love. Radical, courageous self-love. Radical, courageous self-love. That's what we're going to really talk about. Radical, courageous self-love. And so when I say radical, courageous self-love, because what I've learned, it is radical and it takes courage to really live out loving yourself. This is not something that many of us are even taught to do because of our cultural and our heritage in these United States of America. But in addition to the family trauma that we all kind of come through to some degree, not everybody's story is the same. And so, when I talk about, I want to put those adjectives, you will, before self-love, radical self-love. Because it's going to take radical action, and you're going to have to be courageous. One of the things that Jesus teaches us, in one of the more important lessons or principles of the Bible, Jesus says these words to his disciples, right? He says, love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments, and then love me with all your heart, soul, body, and mind. And then Jesus says this, on these two commandments, hang all the laws and the prophets. In other words, what he's saying is, these two principles are the principles to which everything else hangs. So if I don't get these two principles accurate, I actually cannot live out all the other principles or the laws of the Torah, the Pentateuch, God's word, et cetera, et cetera. Now I can attempt, but I can't really do it, because on these two laws hang all the laws and the prophets, all the laws of the Old Testament and Pentateuch, and all the words of the prophets hang on two laws. Love your neighbor as yourself, and love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul. And so when we listen to love your neighbor as yourself, what we have to be very clear about is that the starting point is not loving my neighbor. The actual starting point is loving myself. That I actually cannot love my neighbor fully until I have fully learned and know how to love myself. Then, as a result of loving myself, so that's really how we should begin to understand that text. Once I know how to love me, then I can love my neighbor as myself, right? But that is radical and it takes courage. Again, because that's not what we're taught, especially in this Western culture. We are taught to love money. We are taught to love things. We are taught to love status. We are taught to love materialism. We are taught to love capitalism. We are taught by sometimes in, through poor modeling to, love other people before we love ourselves. But nobody actually teaches us from kindergarten, from primary school. Who in here had a kindergartner teacher that said, now, when you come in the morning, you got to love yourself? Nobody said that. They said, be kind, right? Be nice. Sharing is caring. But who in here actually had a kindergartner teacher tell them, I really want you to love yourself? If you did, you are one in a million. So even from childhood, we are, and I'm not saying there's any wrong thing with sharing, caring, I'm just saying that from childhood, we are taught to consider everybody else. And there's nothing wrong with considering people, but there's an imbalance. There's an imbalance in that we're also not taught, do you love yourself today? Like, what would have happened to us in 6th grade if we had a kindergartner teacher that said, I really want you, Michelle, to love yourself, or Sauda or Chris or Hawk, I really want you to love yourself as a young girl or a little boy or whatever. How would we have been different, right? How would we have been, we saw ourselves differently? We weren't taught that. Nobody teaches that. I mean, they teach it now because we understand that we're like half the country is damaged and broken. So we're teaching our kids differently in the 21st century, but look how many centuries we had to go through with this broken version of love. And then we were told that love, right, is butterflies, right? So then we were taught as we got older that love is butterflies. So now we all looking for butterflies. Everybody looking for, I need a butterfly. So I know, this is how I know I love them. But no one still said, no, love is an action. So there's all these, I'm going to say incomplete ways in which we were taught love. And then God forbid any of us grew up in a home or a community where there was extreme violence, where there was, foul language used, and not because I'm not blaming or judging one, but the truth is we've had some unhealthy boundaries in our families, right? And then we were taught this as we got older. Oh, that's just how I express how I love you. So when I walk in the door and I call you a name and then somebody laughs, oh, that's just them. They just talking. That's how they love each other. That's how you know they love each other, because they cuss each other out. Right? Deformed love. Absolutely, Michelle. So we've learned all these really incomplete, I'm going to use your word, Michelle, deformed, crazy definitions of love. And still, even in all that, no one said, but you got to love yourself first. And so now we're in our 30s, 40s, and 50s, and we're just now figuring out, after we've had hearts broken, relationship after relationship after relationship ended, lost weight, gained weight, hair fell out, relationships, but parents not talking to children, children not talking to parents, siblings not. Then we get to this place where like life has just happened really bad. And then Sauda comes out with a project called Self-Love. And then we figure out, oh, I gotta love me first. And so really, Sauda, your work is very timely for some people, because for some, your series, this conversation will be the first time someone is being exposed to the teaching about self-love. You see how powerful this is? That's why the enemy had to disrupt it. So this is radical and courageous work that we're doing. So now that we've situated the conversation in the text, and we understand that self-love is godly, it is in the very word of God, it's godly. Let's talk about how do we get out of the old way of seeing ourselves and move into this new way of seeing ourselves. So let me tell you a little bit about my last couple of years. In the last couple of years, two major things have happened that have just shook my life. The first one was I had to separate from my husband. The second one was my oldest son was murdered. And marriage ending and death are actually very similar. If anyone's been through a divorce, or if you know anyone's been through a divorce, or I've talked to anyone who does counseling with people post-divorce, they will tell you that going through a divorce is akin to someone dying, because there is a death, right? And it's all loss and grief. Thank you, Angela. And so there came a point where after my son was killed, and I've shared this with my congregation, I didn't want to live anymore. If I didn't wake up, it wasn't suicide, but I would have been okay if I didn't wake up, right? I really would have been like, fine. I took care of my family. Everybody's got life insurance. There's a nice, healthy life insurance policy. This is how I rationalized it. Like, I got a nice, healthy life insurance policy. So my mama already know what to do. People already that in my family, they know where the paperwork is at. So if I don't wake up, it'll be fine. Of course, God didn't let that happen. And I had to find a pathway back. And I had to begin to radically, courageously love Najuma. Because not only did I lose love in these magnanimous ways, but at one point I even thought, oh, you don't love me. Like you don't even like Najuma no more, God. What's the like what's up? Like, you don't like me no more? Just tell me. You ain't got to try to kill me. Just talk, and in much prayer and conversation and revelation. So I'm giving you the abridged version. The reason I'm here today is because I had to move through a process of radical self-love, radical, courageous self-love, which looked like a few things. And I want to encourage you to write some of these down. It looked like, first and foremost, me taking care of me, right? I had to just take care of me. And like, I had to just decide that I mattered. And I want to encourage everyone watching and those that will eventually watch this beautiful movie. You have to decide you matter, and that your life matters, and that you are crucially important, regardless of what you're experiencing or what you're going through. And I think what helped me is that I had a community of people reminding me that I mattered. So I want to, in addition to saying take care of you, you have to situate yourself amongst people that love you. You got to be around people that love you. And that may, and I'm seriously, you got to be around people that love you. And it may not be the people you want to be around, but they love you, right? And because they will remind you how important you are and that you matter. So community will be very important. Being in community with people that love you is a radical, courageous act of self-love. Because many of us have been in community. What I mean by community, your circle of influence, the people that talk to you the most. We're used to being around people that we love, or we want to love, or we want them to like, or we like them, but they may not love you. Y'all get that? There's a difference between being around people that love you and people that you want to love you, or that you want to like you. And many of us spend time in community with folks that we want to like us, or we want to love us, but they don't necessarily love us. So what I'm offering for you tonight, a step to this radical, courageous self-love, is you got to identify who actually who loves me. And that might, for some, that might be a teacher. That might be a neighbor. It may not be your mama. It might be your neighbor, right? Because God puts people in our lives who will love us. Again, it may not be the person that you want to love you, but it's someone who loves you, and you actually know they love you, but they're not who you want to love you. And what I'm sharing with you is part of this process of radical, courageous self-love is I have to get in the presence of people that love me, that really care, because they will remind you that you matter and that you are important. The second piece is you have to decide. You have to make a decision. And it's hard to get to this place, but if you're in the right environment, those people will help you and remind you that you're important, so you can make the decision, I'm important, I matter. And that's radical and courageous because, again, much of our culture teaches us to focus on somebody else being important. So again, back to the kindergarten example. When you come in a classroom and we're taught, be kind, be nice. And I'm not saying not to be, right? But no teacher ever said, be kind to yourself. Be nice to yourself. And so we're trained to always consider other people. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying there's no balance. Because what our kindergartner teacher didn't say is be kind and nice to other people, but be kind and nice to yourself also. We weren't taught that language. We weren't taught that in elementary school, preschool, high school, junior high school, college. Again, we had to go through a whole life of trauma just to figure out, in order to be nice to you, I gotta start by being nice to me. So it's ingrained in us to always put everybody else's feelings first. And then no one says, but you have to be kind to yourself. And if you had a kindergarten teacher that taught you that, wonderful, but most people didn't, right? We're actually ingrained, it's ingrained in us to always make sure we're being nice and polite and considerate of somebody else. But no one says, you got to be nice and polite and considerate to yourself, which may mean you don't share your crayons with Johnny because Johnny always breaks your crayons. We're told, share your crayons with Johnny, even if he breaks them, it's okay. Y'all see how those lessons we learned are very early. Well, sharing is caring. It's so Johnny, don't break her crayons. And no one ever says, and then the teacher never comes back and say, you know what? Don't let Johnny touch your crayons anymore because he doesn't respect you. What if we had learned that in kindergarten? Don't share your crayons with Johnny because he doesn't respect your things. Y'all get that? So I have to now at this age, start telling Johnny no to my crayons. But look how much I had to go through in life. And this is radical courageous because, again, our culture teaches us to put everybody else's feelings first. And what I want to offer tonight in this conversation around radical courageous self-love is I cannot be nice to my neighbor and polite to my neighbor and kind to my neighbor, and I'm not being kind and nice and sweet and precious and loving to myself first. Why? Because the text says, love your neighbor as you are doing this to yourself, it will spill over and it'll spill out to your neighbor. We're just taught to skip you and go right to serving the neighbor. And the truth is, many of us live our lives like that. We wake up how to fix everybody else's problems, how to tend to everybody else's needs, how to look out for everybody else. And if you're a parent, some of us got that real bad. We don't even eat until everybody's eating. Or we don't even, we last on the totem pole. And sometimes we're not even on the pole. Because it's been ingrained in us. Don't take care of yourself first. Take care of other people. When they don't even teach that on the airplane, what do they say? Put the oxygen on yourself first, because you can't even save nobody else if you can't breathe. And so what we've learned how to, y'all can write this down. This is a tweet. We've learned how to look out for other people holding our breath. right? Over here choking, holding our breath because we try to put the mask on everybody else. But even the stewardess says, put your mask on first. Because if you try to put the mask on somebody else and not on yourself, you will be trying to save them holding your breath, not getting no oxygen. This is why people get depleted and they say stuff like, I'm having an anxiety attack. I feel like I can't breathe. I know it became a famous quote, you know, after that horrific murder. But the reality is, people been saying I can't breathe for years. Anxiety attack, you know, because I've been trying to serve and love my neighbor and everybody else, but I'm not putting the oxygen mask on myself first. So self-love is community. Self-love is a conscious decision. I gotta decide I'm gonna love me today before I love everybody else. What's my first act of love for myself? And let me say this to you. My mother didn't know how to relax. Absolutely. And because our mothers and grandmothers and fathers and grandfathers lived this way, we just thought, isn't this how everybody lives, holding their breath? Ain't everybody walking around holding their breath, about to have an anxiety, a panic attack? Isn't this normal? No. Right? So I want to encourage everyone, when you get up tomorrow morning, when you get ready to go to bed, because my practice begins at night. When you get ready to go to bed, do something for you before you lay your head down to sleep at night. Now, I don't recommend sweets, but if that's what you need, I don't recommend it, because then you got other problems, you know, when pounds start adding up. But do something that is an act of love for yourself before you go to bed tonight. And I want to encourage you to end your day and start your day before you consider anybody else. What is a conscious act of love? A conscious act of love. Come on, hot lavender bubble bath tonight. Come on, Suzette. And can't nobody disrupt you. If they say, I gotta use the bathroom, listen, you got to go outside and use the bathroom. You got to wait. Absolutely, Suzette. But a conscious, because remember, we said it's community, it's a consciousness, a conscious act of love before you go to bed at night. You'll sleep better, watch. And the first thing you do in the morning. And for some, that conscious act of love is taking time in prayer and connecting with the Most High. You know, not necessarily picking up the who texts me, who wants something, you know, right? Someplace else to use the bathroom. Come on, go outside. Yeah, absolutely. That's it, Pat. I love it.
By the way.
What happened?
I said Suzette is my mama, just so you know.
Oh, so Sauda, that means you might have to go use the bathroom outside. I don't know. You have to just wait till she's done. And let me say this, and I can speak it honestly, people who know me, I'm even training my children. Like, if I'm in the bathroom, when my kid, mommy, I'm in the bathroom, you can't talk to me is anybody bleeding? Is anybody dying? No, then go sit down someplace till I'm done. You cannot disrupt me in the bathroom. Not because I don't love you, but I love me enough. This is my time. And when I'm in the bathroom, this is my time. And you don't, because kids, they like to disrupt. They love to disrupt. Oh, if they think you in there having 2 minutes of peace, here they come. Mommy. Nope. You can't, when they get to knock on that bathroom door, is it an emergency? Huh? Is anybody bleeding? No? Okay. Well, I'm coming. You got to wait till I'm done. You can't even talk to me when I'm in the bathroom. Right? And most of us don't create that kind of space and boundary, but I'm teaching my children. But I also give them that space and boundary. So when they're in the bathroom, they can't mess with each other, because they do that too. My son go in the bathroom, his sister want to come in there. She go in the bathroom, he want to come in there. No, everybody, the bathroom is sacred ground, right? And everybody gets to have their sacred space, right? So community, consciousness. The third thing I want to talk about, radical, courageous self-love, is in the decision-making, is to make it consistent. Don't just do it tonight. The way that you and I move and really transform is that I have to consistently do this. It's a lifestyle. right? And the reason this is radical and courageous, because people don't mind you having a good day, but they struggle if you decide to have a good life. You can have a good day. You're giving yourself a VIP day. Okay, you have your VIP spa day, but when you come back off this VIP spa day, back to the same old, same old. This is a lifestyle change. And people need to know that you're doing something different. And this may look like a lot of different ways for different people, depending on, you know, what you have going on in your life. But consistent, radical, courageous self-love looks like every day I am showing up to love me first, love me especially, not above, but I'm not loving you more than I love me. And that consistent life change, that transformation will disrupt. It will disrupt those who are used to you having a VIP day, but coming back to them on Monday. Y'all get that? There are people that don't mind you having a VIP day where you go and I need a break. You can't go and have your break because they know they can come and after 8 hours, they off their VIP day. I'm calling, I'm texting, I'm emailing, I'm at your door, I'm bugging you, I'm begging for money, whatever. All the things that people do. I'm gone for 4 weeks. Suzette, I love it. Your mama's getting her whole life together. Brittany says, this is what happens to me. Absolutely, Brittany, because people don't mind you having a VIP day. You just can't have a VIP life. Because a VIP life means everybody can't have your time, your space, your energy all the time. That's what people have a problem with. They don't mind you having a VIP day, but you don't dare have a VIP life. Because if you have a VIP life, then they can't run your calendar. They can't run your time. They can't run your money. They can't run your emotions. They can't run your heart because you live differently. You live differently. And that's what I want to encourage you. What you do with a VIP day, I want to encourage you to make it a lifestyle of healthy boundaries, a lifestyle of telling people no, a lifestyle of saying, does this serve me? It doesn't, can't do it. And releasing guilt and shame. And let me, and somebody type this and put in the chat. If you struggle with guilt, when you tell people no, here's what I want you to, here's a mantra meditation I want to encourage you to repeat to yourself. I release all anxiety around feeling guilty. And I accept myself without limitation or regret. I love myself without limitation or regret. I'm sorry. I release all anxiety around feeling guilty. And I love and accept myself without limitation or regret. So if you struggle in this area of having a lifestyle, and what I mean by VIP, I'm not saying that you're very important in the sense of above people, but you are very important. And some of y'all might need to put that on a mirror in your cell phone. I am very important, right? Very VIP is very important people, very important person. I am the VIP. And I'm going to start having a VIP lifestyle. Come on, Salud, absolutely. And again, this is not above, but if you understand, people who do VIP, they live different. They walk different. They talk different. You listen, when the VIP, you can't walk on the VIP carpet. You can't touch, everybody don't get to touch VIP. And everybody should not be able to touch all your energy. Everyone should not be able to touch your calendar and touch your time. Right? So this is a consistent thing. Move away from, well, I'm gonna take Friday, I'm gonna have one Friday a month where I take care of me. Are you kidding me? No, it's 31 days in a month. All 31 days I'm taking care of me. Because if I don't take care of me, I can't effectively take care of you.
I love that.
I can't do it. And what ends up happening is you end up even serving other people out of what we call fumes. Anybody ever try to drive? Yeah, I'm notorious for this. I have been. I'm not saying I'm like that now, but I have been notorious for driving my car all the way till it's just on fumes. I'm guilty of it.
Wait, you gotta talk about when the gas is on E. You gotta talk about
it's past the E. It's that last little mark, and it's past that, and you know in your mind this car is on fumes. It's fumes, but I'm still trying to go 2 more blocks. Right? That's how a lot of us live our lives. Be in the red light zone, but beyond the red light zone, there's another zone called below empty. And many of us are living our lives below empty, trying to save other people, and we haven't saved ourselves. Trying to get somebody else to work, and you can't get to work because you're below empty. Trying to help somebody else make money, but you can't make no money because you're below empty. So I want to encourage you to have a VIP lifestyle where you recognize that you are a very important person. You are a very important person to the kingdom and the body of Christ, or whatever your faith tradition may be. You are a very important person to your community, to your family. You are a very important person to this world, to the atmosphere, to the universe, and you matter. And because you are VIP, you have to treat yourself like that. You have to treat yourself like that. And most of us don't see ourselves as VIP. We see it. We don't have a problem seeing somebody else VIP, but we don't even see ourselves as VIP. Very important person. Because the reality is, if you go away, there are people who will miss you, who will be hurting because you're not well, because your mind is so messed up, you can't even process a conversation. But more importantly, because God put you and I here for a very important purpose, for a very important purpose. And I cannot live that out if I'm not giving myself the treatment of a very important person with a very important purpose. Y'all get that? So number 1, we said that radical self-love begins with being in a community of people that love you. Not people that you want to love you or you want to like you, but they love you. And sometimes that will be people that means that you have to now choose differently about who you're around. And you know, we say these things, but we don't listen to our own selves sometimes, right? Love who loves you. And we say these things, but then we don't chase who loves us. We chase the one that ain't calling us back. We chase the one that won't return a text. We chase the one that won't pick up the phone and ask, how are you doing? Like they're not doing basic human stuff like, how are you? And that's who we chase, and that's who we giving our time. And I'm not talking about just intimate relationships. These are people that we want to be friends with, people who are family members. But then over here, there's 5 people got to put in your life that actually love you, and they call and check on you, but you don't have nothing to do with them. Because I want this person to love me. And what I'm telling you, to reorient yourself to the people that care and love you, and put yourself in that space, because they will remind you that you are VIP, a very important person. Number 2, we said conscious decision-making. Consciously, before you go to bed and when you wake up, do action to yourself, towards yourself. That's an act of love. But this is and then do it what? Consistently. That's number 3. Consistently act in love and in kindness and in gentleness and in sweetness to yourself. No more VIP days of VIP life. You're a very important person with a very important purpose. You must act consistently. And as your life changes, people will notice it. Now, here's where it gets radical courageous, because this, again, we said it, this is going to disrupt systems. Let's talk about what system is going to disrupt. And tell Saud, how much more time do I have?
Well, listen, we go to 8, you know.
Oh, okay.
So, whenever you need me to jump in and ask questions, let me know.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna do this last part about disrupting systems.
I love it.
So when you begin to actually consistently live a VIP life where you absolutely people go nuts, right? This will disrupt systems. So let's talk about systems. In the Bible, New Testament, you can read most stories where Jesus healed somebody. And if you go back and reread those stories and listen to what the people on the periphery are saying, right? Listen to the scribes and Pharisees and the people in the crowd who said things like to Jairus, to the blind man who called out to Jesus, and they told him, be quiet. The woman with the issue of blood, and she was so scared to say who she was because she knew that the people around would have a problem for her reaching to him with his garment. Think about when Jesus was at the house of Simon Peter, I believe, and the woman breaks the alabaster box, and the people on the periphery who was mad because she's getting what she needs for herself. What I'm offering to you, or the man who was blind from birth, and when Jesus began to heal him, they were like, well, who sinned in his family, and how did you get healed, and who touched you? What I'm talking about is that people don't mind you being crippled and broke down and hurt and depleted, because it creates a system that they get to manipulate, benefit from, take advantage of, or it just makes them feel better because you blind. And the reason they hated Jesus, because Jesus always disrupted whatever the system was, whether it was I'm pimping you for your oil, the woman with the alabaster box, or the blind man, or the lame man. I can't put you at the pool of Bethesda anymore and have you call for alms, and then I take a little bit off the top because I brought you to the pool. Well, I didn't bring you to the pool, I brought you to the porch, but I didn't put you in the pool. So when you asking for alms, I'm taking my piece off the top. Systems. If you go back and read the stories where Jesus healed, there was always people on the periphery who had a problem with him healing folks. Not because they didn't like Jesus, but Jesus, when you heal people, you disrupt my system. Or the little girl who was following the disciples saying, you wanted Jesus's people. And the man was like, no. And when they healed her, it was problematic. How you mad the little girl got delivered? How you mad because a little girl gets delivered? Because she was part of their system of abuse and manipulation, right? And so, all systems hate revolutionaries, absolutely. And so this is where the 3 C's will be radical and courageous, because there will be people who are used to you always taking care of them. There are people that are dependent upon you waking up every day worried about their problems. There are people who are used to you always being available to them, and whenever they ask you for anything, you always say yes. That's why they call you. You think they call you because they like you. No, it's because you don't have the courage to say no. I know that hurts. I know that doesn't feel good. But we can all be part of somebody else's system and not even know it, not even know that they're getting off on playing mind games with us, or they're enjoying, they're benefiting off you being broken, or broke down, or broke, one of the 3, right? So the reason this becomes radical and courageous, because it will disrupt systems. And you will know you are disrupting a system you didn't even know existed. You know how you're going to know? Because they're going to tell you. Just listen, try it for 2 weeks. Try it for 2 weeks. Suzanne knows what I'm talking about. Try it for 2 weeks. I have a sister. She's a half sister. And she got 3 boys, 3 adult boys. I say they were adults. They're adult boys, 26, 27, 24. That's it. I said they're adult. They're adult, grown Negroes, grown. They having sex. You grown. You smoke weed. Some of them actually do a little dirt on the side. Like, you grown. You're not 7. You're not even a 17-year-old fresh out of high school. You in your 20s. And all three of them think that they're Auntie Najuma. I think they actually believe I'm wealthy. And I noticed something one day. I noticed in 1 week, the Lord had, God every now and then does this, opens your eyes to something. Because in 1 week, back to back, all three of them, Auntie, I need $20. Auntie, I need $30. Auntie. And I was like, now wait a minute. When the third one hit me up, I was like, something's up. So I text all three of them. I said, I don't know what y'all Negroes is up to, but Banker Auntie is closed. And baby, you would have thought I stole their little girlfriend or something. Oh, they were so upset. They were so upset. Auntie, we need Auntie. Y'all grown. Y'all grown. Y'all having sex with these little girls there. You grown. You better figure it out. But the point being, I didn't even realize, because $10 here, $5 here. But when they all got me in 1 week, I said, it sums up. And then I realized I had been sucked into their system. And I had to tell them, and I dared one of them to tell my sister, because she was going to catch it next. They didn't have the courage to do that. They knew not to tell their mama, because she wasn't going to say nothing to me, because she would have caught it next. But the point being that there was a system going on. And I had to really talk to them about, like, yo, I don't know what y'all thinking, but I'm not Banker Auntie. Y'all got to work. Y'all, and we had to have a really hard conversation. And these are my nephews. I love them. But I could no longer be a part of their system. And it wasn't that I didn't have a $20. That's not what it was about. I saw quickly I was part of their system. And I'm just saying, to want to offer, get your own 20, 30, absolutely. That sometimes we can be a part of a system that's benefiting other people and not even know it. And so in that moment, my radical self-love was telling them, no, Bank of Auntie is closed. And even when there's one left, the other two figured out, but there's one left, he still tries me. Auntie, I don't have money to get to work. Okay, well, let me ask you a question. Did you smoke you a blunt this week? And then they don't say nothing. Okay. All right. Well, as long as we clear, because if you can afford a blunt, because I know he smokes blunts. I'm not telling him, I'm just telling the truth. And this is how I talk to him. You smoked a blunt this week? Auntie. Right. That's my point. That was your bus money right there. Right. Because he thinks he still think he gonna get me, but he's not. And I know what he's waiting for. Like, let me just catch her on a good day. You ain't gonna catch me on a good day. Because I'm having a good day telling you no. And the point being that you can be a part of a system and not even realize it. And people can become so used to and ingrained with you being their system of whatever it is they need from you. And you will know when you are disrupting a system, because they will tell you, it will come out their mouth. What's the problem? Why are you being different? And they will verbally, they will say it. They won't say like, oh, you're choosing you. They're not going to say that, oh, you're radical self-love. No, but they will question your activity. They won't say, oh, I understand. Yeah, you got to look out for yourself first. They're not going to say that. They're going to question why you're not taking care of them, why you're not looking out for them first, why you're not. And I'm not saying don't love your family members. We're talking about systems. And that radical self-love is, you will disrupt systems. And sometimes those systems we're aware of, and sometimes we're not. And if you read all the miracles that Jesus performed, there was always someone who had a problem with him healing somebody else, with him delivering somebody else, with him, making some sick person well, or a lame person walking, or a blind person being able to see. Why? Because that person was a part of a system. And there are systems that you will disrupt. But in disrupting the system, you can bring an end to the system. And again, sometimes we are part of the problem, right? We're part of the problem. And this is where it also becomes courageous, because some systems you and I created. And I have to have the courage to get out of that. Some systems we were a part of that. We helped. We put our, we create the space for that. We create the environment for that. And so where it becomes courageous is you have to have the courage to say, I know I was a part of this. I know I helped create this. I know I told you it was okay. I know, and if I didn't tell you it was okay verbally, I let you believe it was okay because I kept coming back to it. I let you believe it was okay because I didn't say nothing. I let you believe it was okay because I tolerated it. But now I have to have the courage to get out of that. Right? Radical to disrupt the system, courage to get out, or courage to stop, or courage to set up new boundaries. Because typically, this is not 100%, but typically, if I've allowed something to happen, it's because there's something I'm afraid of. And Angela, who's our resident therapist, help me out if I get off track. But this is how I can explain it to you. If I tolerate, and let's just take a relationship, for example. If I tolerate you lying to me, and I know you're lying to me, and I'm not saying it's anybody in this room, but there are people who know that their partner or their other half, whatever you want to call it, is lying to them. But I'm letting you believe it's okay because I buy all your lies, and I just say, okay. I don't ever say nothing about it. I don't check it. I don't tell you to your face, you're lying. I know you're lying. I just like, okay. And I create a system that says the lie is okay, right? But I do that because I don't want you to leave. So part of why we tolerate and even help to create environments, because somewhere deep inside, there's something I'm afraid of, or there's something I really don't want to face: rejection, aloneness, loneliness. I tolerate, the system of disrespect, because the reality is I'd rather be disrespected than sleep alone. And I know Casey's like, Casey's like, no. And and I'm not saying it's anybody on here. I'm just saying this is what people do. I take the disrespect so I don't have to be alone. And nobody says this out loud, and nobody says this to themselves, but it's a pattern that we let go on, right? And I have to have the courage to say, you know what? I let you lie to me because I was too afraid to be by myself. But today I have the courage to be alone. That takes courage. That's a courageous act of self-love. I let you disrespect me. I tolerate the disrespect because for me, it was more convenient to be disrespected than to think about not having you in my life, or not having this relationship, or not having access to your power, or all the things that we, all the ways in which we allow for things to shape and take form. We internalize and accept the gaslighting and abuse for acceptance. Thank you, Angela. Absolutely. And so this is where it becomes courageous, because I have to have the courage to face my truth and the courage to do something about it. And let me say this is all work that I've had to do in the last several years of my life, and learning what's, relearning self-love, and then learning on another level, right? And so again, our 3 C's, radical self-love is what? Number 1, we said it is community. Get around people who love you. I made it through my son's murder, not because I was so strong, but there was a community of people that loved me. And I had to be around those people. Then I had to do conscious acts of self-love. I had to consciously decide. And that included Some people you can't, I'm not taking your call. I'm not answering. Whatever that conscious acts of self-love. And then number 3, consistent. Make it a lifestyle. No more VIP days of VIP life. Make it consistent. And what will happen is it will become a lifestyle and people will notice it. But this is where it becomes radical courage. Number 1 is that when it becomes consistent and regular in your life, and you are constantly putting love of self first, day in and day out, you will disrupt systems. And you will know those systems you won't even have to ask. They will identify themselves because they will recognize they can't get at you the same way. They can't pluck your nerves the same way because you're not even taking their phone call or whatever was the system. They can't get your money the same way. They can't abuse you the same way. They can't, take up your time the same way. They can't suck up your energy the same way. And they will say, and you will know because they will say out their mouth, what's wrong with you? What's the problem? And then you be like, I'm disrupting the system, right?
Yeah.
And then the last thing is it's courageous because some of the stuff we have been a part of and we have to own it, but courageously end it. Own it, but courageously end it. And on that, I'm gonna stop.
I love it.
And let's take some Q&A. Let's do some Q&A because we're at 7:15 and
no, thank you.
Conversation.
This was wonderful. I mean, honestly, my only question as I'm listening to you, and thank you because I'm full, is I heard you mention a couple of things in terms of your shift based on what you've gone through and in terms of disrupting systems. And I'm curious how that looked in your life as a pastor in terms of, even just hearing you say, love yourself first, because what I always hear people say is love God first, So I'm wondering when you talk about just your shift and you talk about kind of stirring the system, how have you shifted, if at all, in terms of how you balance your self-love and still practicing and loving God? If that makes sense.
So here's the thing that I think, let me say it this way. God loved me first. And no matter what, ain't none of that changing. So my loving God is not me choosing to love God. I love God in the response to God loving me first. And when you really understand just how much God loved you and me first, my love to God is not me deciding, like, do I love God or do I love this? Nah, my response to loving God is recognition of God loved me first. And that's also part of that radical self-love. Like, I like you, Sauda, but if you don't love me, it's okay. Because guess what? God loves me. And that's where, so, you know what I'm saying? So I don't see it as choosing one or the other. It really is, it comes together because I'm able to radically love me because I recognize how much he loves me, right? In recognizing how much God loves me. Just listen. I want you to just think about all the minutiae you've been through in your life, and you still are here, wrapped in your right mind, with the activity of your limbs. You can still talk, you can still see. With all the hell you've been through, and you don't think God loves you. So I'm able to radically self-love Najuma in the natural, because in the spiritual, what God has revealed to me is, baby girl, I love you. So it's not a matter of choosing, do I love me or love God? I love me because God loves me. Does that make sense? I love me because when I look back over my life,
makes total
y'all
sense.
gonna get me to preaching now.
Yeah.
When I look back over my life, how much God loved me, I can't help but love me. So my love for God is not me picking up a book and say, okay, today I love God. No, I love me because I I have tapped into how much God loves me. And this is where community becomes important, because when you're in community where people love you, what that is God has put people in your pathway to show you how much he loves you. You get that? I'm putting people in your pathway who love you unconditionally. They want the best for you because they are my representation of my love for you. That's how we started with community. But I don't love God because I choose. I love God in response to recognizing how much God loved me first. I love me so much because I recognize how much he loves me. I dare you to just think about all that you've been through. I'm not the only one with trauma stories. All of us have major trauma stories. They may not be the same, but we all got stories, stuff that we've been through. Some of y'all have been in car accidents you should have never survived, but somehow in that car seat, God kept you. You thought he did that because he was bored? No. It's because he loves us. It's because there's a purpose. You're VIP with a VIP.
And speaking of VIP, she wants to know, what do you do to transition from a VIP day to a VIP lifestyle? Where do you begin? I also have a toddler to add to the schedule, and I'm failing at me time.
Okay, so, and as a parent and grandparent, I understand. I've been a parent and I'm not the only one. I'm just telling my story. I've been a parent since I was 23. I'm now 49. I've never not had a day where I wasn't a parent. And I currently have a 6-year-old and 11-year-old. So I got at least 10, 15 more years before I can kick that little girl out. She's only 6. So I can't even think about putting her out until she's 18. So I got a little more. What's that? 18 minus 6, what? 12, 14? What's that? What's 8? See, I can't even do math. What's 18 minus 6, y'all? Is that 12?
There go that math again.
So I got at least 12 years.
12, you're right.
I got at least 12 years before I can even think about being by myself. So
she not leaving till 21.
and Stacy's not lying, because she's already said to me, Mom, I'm going to live with you until I'm 30. No, you will not. She's already told me. She's like, I want to stay with you forever. Girl, no, you're not. I will find you a husband, but you cannot stay with me until you're 30. But the point being, I understand. I want to say that I'm with you. And I want to say this to you. A VIP lifestyle it goes back to you matter, right? And you matter to that little toddler. And there is so much that little toddler wants from you, but you actually won't be able to give her the best of you until you start taking care of you. And the best thing, and I'm just telling you what I know from experience. I told you I've been a parent since I was 23. The best lesson I've taught my children, is a self-love, is loving self, doing things. So let me give you an example. Let me make it real world. I meditate in the morning. My mornings are precious. And people who know me know I get up at 5 a.m. And I do that. I had to do that, Brittany, because I needed to have time for Najuma in the beginning of the day, so my day doesn't start off with kids. Because again, I've been a parent since I was 23. I'm 49. And it will drive you crazy if the first thing you do in the day is look after a child. And I'm not saying don't love your children. So what I had to learn to do, and this might be something that you might want to consider, I don't know how your sleep pattern is build into your day time for you. For me, that looked like getting up at 5 a.m. so I have at least a good hour and a half before one of the first children says good morning. I'm a meditator. I meditate. So what has happened over time is my kids know, because I don't close the door. I have just taught them. And remember, I got a 6-year-old and she's very precocious, very busy. So when she's coming to my room on those times when she's woke up early and I'm in my meditation moment, I just look over to her, tell her to sit down and be quiet. She had to learn it. But you know what she does now? When she come in the room, guess what she does? Kids adapt to us Now, it took some training and teaching. The only thing I'm sharing with you, and I'm just giving you an example. I had to teach them that my meditation time is for me. You cannot disrupt this time. And if that means you go sit down next to me and learn to meditate too, great. But she knows to be quiet. Build time in your day that's sacred. And you have to teach children that is sacred. And you teach them verbally, but you also teach them through modeling. And then they learn. They are like sponges. They learn. And so I don't just have a meditation, so for me, a VIP day would be going someplace where I can meditate and enjoy a bath. And that's why my kids can't disrupt me when I'm in the bathroom. That's part of my VIP lifestyle, right? If I'm at the spa, you ain't coming with me to the spa, so you can't come with me in the bathroom. So I learned something today. I didn't recognize I was doing it, but I learned something. There's an aspect of making space and then giving space. And I want to encourage you with this, that a radical act of self-love that you just displayed is that you made space for your own emotion. And we don't do that because we have been taught to be concerned about everybody else's emotions. So we don't make space for our own emotions. And I want to encourage you to continue to make space for how you feel. And this is what I know to be true about God. God is big enough to handle your anger. God is just big enough. You can cuss him out and God ain't going nowhere. God's going to still be there, and he's going to ask you, what can I do for you today? So I just want to encourage you to continue to make space for your feelings and emotions, because radical self-love is not contingent upon other people being okay with it. Right? I don't have pink hair because it's fashionable. My hair started falling out after I did my son's eulogy. And pink is a color of healing. So when I went to the beautician with pieces of my hair falling out, I said, girl, first of all, in my own grief, I cut it all off, and I'm not a barber, so it was all uneven. So I had to go to the beautician. I was like, let's cut it, even it out. And then once she did it, I was like, put some color on this. And then she's like, what color? I said, let's go with pink. Pink. Now I've had pink hair for 2 years. And trust me, there are people that don't like me having pink hair. But I don't have pink hair for you. I have pink hair for me. So you're making space for your emotions and how you really feel right now is not about other people. That's number one. You said that you're planning a road trip and people think it's stupid. If it's what you need to do for you, it can't be. It's not stupid, but it's for you, and make space for what you need for you. The third thing I want to offer you also, because the grief can be so heavy, there's a story that we often miss in the Bible because we often look at it from one vantage point. But I want to offer you all another vantage point. It's the story of the man whose friends brought him to Jesus. And what I tell to people who are going through grief and great loss is to allow yourself to be not one of the 4 friends, but the man on the mat. Allow yourself in your grieving, as often as you're able, to be the man on the mat, and let those in community with you, like Sauda and others, to carry you sometimes. Because what we tend to do as strong Black women is we, in our grief, try to be the friend holding somebody else up.
Yep.
Or we try to be Jesus, not necessarily out, not necessarily consciously, but we try to save. But none of us take the time. None of us see the story from the man on the mat. What does it mean to be the man on the mat where I let my friends take me to the healer? I let my friends pray for me. I let my friends cook for me. I let my friends come clean my house. I let my friends come wash my car. I let my friends come wash my clothes. Take your trip. Make space for your emotions and feelings. And then every now and then, at least once a week, you be the man on the mat. We all have to create space to be the man on the mat. This ain't just for those that's going through a particular situation. We all have to create space every now and then to be the man on the mat. I can't always be the friend. I can't always be Jesus. And that's such a Black woman thing. But I want to invite Black women to every now and then be the man on the mat and let somebody carry you to a place of healing, carry you to a place of allow yourself to be the man on the mat. Amen.
Amen.
That's radical self-love.
Thank you. You were wonderful. We are full. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful night. Thank you again, Reverend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
you all. Blessings.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.